Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Over the weekend, ICC wrote a letter and acknowledged receipt of Azimio la Umoja's petition asking them to conduct investigations about the things that were happening in this country that actually bordering the abuse of human rights. And I paid close attention over the weekend, looking at the reaction of the political leadership, both on the side of Azimio and the side of the UDA. And I also tried to keep trail why UDA bloggers or how UDA bloggers were going to counter that information. But then what I have realized is that there have been some awkward silence or unusual silence over the matter, and people and politicians around William Ruto for the first time have kept their lips highly guided on this matter. And what we've also, according to the report that has emerged, is that apart from what was sent, there were two confidential letters that were sent both to President William Ruto and to Raila Odinga about the situation in the country and about the pending information regarding the matter. Now, this had been issued earlier, even before Azimio la Umoja allegedly wrote that letter. What we will see is the deputy president, a man that I always believed that the ICC vector was pointing at him, flew the country and went to Botswana for the event where he was also representing President William Ruto. Contrary to the normal trend that people are used to, we saw some awkward silence, people really keeping off the matter, making sure that they are kept, they keep their silence, or rather they keep their lips guided over this issue. What do you think is behind that silence? Now, this is what many people will not tell you, but that is what happens. According to the ICC protocols, is that the investigations are supposed to be done by the investigating bodies here, now including the police, so that they would use that report. Investigation is supposed to be done by the Kenyan authorities. Then they would use that report to assess the magnitude of the situation so that they can also maybe call for their own independent audit and investigations, or rather or issue some arrest warrants on those who are found culpable. Now, I agree that that court lacks the jurisdiction to even effect those charges, like even the arrest, and the arrest can only be effected under the goodwill of the host country. Now, contrary to that, we understand that they normally conduct investigations themselves. They also not only conduct, but they also keep data. And the data that is coming from civil society organizations, from the international bodies, the United Nations and the Human Watch and the international media, they take that data, not for investigation, so that that data will also help to, that's what will help to realize the magnitude of the problem. And that is why, I got this sometime, someone was telling me, that is why in some security meeting that was held, as someone in the security, had worked in the security, a retired military guy told me that, and was advising that one of the reasons why you will see the security agencies now trying to conceal a lot of information from the media, because there was a meeting that was held where the police commanders were ordered that you're not allowed to share information about the number of people injured or even killed and affected during demos directly to the media or even to your bosses directly, but they must be packaged in a very confidential format that can only be read by the few internet people. Now, that was effected to conceal a lot of information. But then that also tells you that things are not that rosy into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, there have been bit of that silence. What did you expect? Someone was expecting that over the weekend and even from Saturday, someone will rush to the events on Monday, and the discussion and even the bloggers will be on hitting on how Raila Odinga and how the courts is supporting Raila Odinga, how because all along the state has always branded Raila Odinga team as a rebel group or a group that is not even in law somewhere, or they've been a bit dismissive. But I remember in this, analyzing this, I've always said that the kind of dismissing others, or rather dismissing the Azimio, has been one that is very blunt, and it was high time maybe people who are with it look at it. So, what do you think is causing that silence? Why people want to make baridi? And for the first time, everyone is keeping his legs guided. There are very four contentious issues about this thing that you cannot take casually. I think if you read the tone of that Azimio letter, it was actually implicating one person, purely only one person. Of course, the others were just, it was purely linking Rigathi Gachagua, and the other person was IG Kogi. So, and that is why you saw Comey coming out to say that, trying to pull the tribal card, because his name was largely named in that letter. And what has shocked many leaders is the penetration of that letter to ICC. The fact that ICC, the state here also they should have the resources and they should have the network to make sure that even if Azimio writes such a letter, it will be trashed somewhere. We always find a way of getting away with it. It will be trashed somewhere and there will be no attention to it. But the way that letter penetrated right to the desk of ICC prosecutor really casted some aspersions on Ruto's diplomacy threshold. And I think the leaders might have realized that, okay, we are comfortably branding and trying to praise President Ruto as we are sons of Mau Mau and is a metal. But in real sense, in the diplomacy front, I think he still have a low stint. And this is what many will tell you. I think Ruto is still struggling with it. It will be too early to say that he can have it. With 8 months, the way the current trend and the way his name was also soiled, even throughout the campaign and the past experience, it has not been so easy. Even Uhuru Kenyatta, when he started, it was not so easy. I remember Uhuru was sworn in 2013 April. Then he made the first trip in September, according to what I even read. He made the first trip in September. Even though by then, first foreign trip, even though by then there was the issue of ICC, the rope of ICC was still dangling around his neck. So the penetration, the fact that that letter penetrated, that is enough is a signal that, okay, do we really, is it, wow, we've always been saying this man, Raila, is not, is inconsequential. We've always been saying that we are clipping his wings just around the country. What's exactly is going on? People realized that it's either Ruto's diplomatic stint is low. And then, that comes with another scare. The spirit of collective responsibility, people realize, and I think even the leaders realize, even those who are civil servants who are actively involved in these issues, some of these things, are actually seeing that the spirit of collective responsibility in the corridor of justice at the international space and at an international court will not prevail. And people understanding and they are seeing that at the opportune time, you'll take personal responsibility. Now, someone will sit, and even a very senior person, serious person will sit and say, this letter has reached the ICC. If it were that President Ruto is himself largely named in it, what would you expect? Would you expect the ICC to react about it? And if they will say that we were reacting and want to start investigating or something like that, what happens if, because Azimio Umoja, and they've realized that, okay, out of the people really went shivers, there's some shivers, they're saying we can go to the second mass action. Now, the courts are taking stock. If an investigation is to start, in there to call for an investigation, then people's names will largely be named. And I can tell you, this is not child's play, because in 2007, the police boss was named there. His career really got finished there. So the spirit of collective responsibility, people are seeing that, okay, this letter, it is so and so that it is us who are the name, and it has penetrated. What does that mean? Those who are supposed to protect us and to make sure that our image is really protected and our names doesn't get there, maybe did not fight for us. So what does that mean? And that is what people should actually carry home. That when you're making orders, ridiculous orders, ordering people to conduct some of these breaches of human rights, at the end of it, who is the shooter? It takes that line. It will not be, you may think you are supporting, someone said, people normally do things because we want to win the trust of the president. I want to show the president that I'm a very serious man so that I'm taken seriously. But then, do you think the president needs that? No, he has the military. He has 24-hour security. So there's nothing really a big worry to him. Now, there is the other card that emerged. Ruto's total silence over the matter. Be it from the very first time that letter was written. Initially, Ruto started by calling on Western countries to sanction Raila Odinga. And I think that was spoken by some leaders in there. But when Raila went to the ICC, when Raila made the ICC letter, he kept silence. I know Rigathi Gachagua and some leaders went to Mount Kenya and said that Raila is intimidating the police boss by the ICC issue. But Ruto has kept his silence over the matter. There is one observation I want you to make, that the leaders around UDA and those around around Azimio, they will always just say what the leader is saying using different words. If you listen to the way Rigathi Gachagua is explaining issues of debt and the issues of how the government is broke and the issues about fertilizer subsidies going, if you listen to that and listen to the way Ruto is saying it, you actually see a copycat. If you listen to the way Rigathi Gachagua is explaining to you how subsidizing consumption is not going to help this economy and is going to help, and they're going to subsidize production, you think like it's his own thing, But again, they're just copy pasting. So if your boss is silent about it, where do you get an angle? Because what people would expect is, when immediately that reaction comes that we've acknowledged the letter, the president goes out and say, we should not be intimidated. Kenya is a sovereign country. We've always had those discussions. But when Ruto himself is not talking, what can he say? But I told you in my previous video, why Ruto had to keep silence. For him, his name is still really in the black book. Now, I think leaders are also seeing Raila could be having a deeper backing over the ICC issue. There have been attempts. The first attempt is to drop the AU job, which went. There was no problem. And after that, I will still feel like, okay, we will try to attack so that he leaves. We'll try to intimidate so that he leaves the mass action. That has not been there. But with the latest developments, someone realized that, okay, I may look as if I've been given orders to fight Raila Odinga. But today, if something can happen, I don't know what it is. And Raila could be having that really good foreign backing. So this will be something more. I will expect, and I can tell you, I can promise you that, if Raila is to call another mass action, you will not see what you saw in the other phase. There will be a different stake to it. There will be a different approach to it because of this ICC issue. And that's probably why people are silent. Someone is also telling me that Kenya must tread very careful, because ICC is also looking at it as a buffer zone. If they'll be need to conduct investigations into the Sudan skirmishes, then they would mostly, the Sudan guys will always want to take refuge here. So if Kenya is going to yumba yumba and already have a shaky stand against ICC, then that would work against that. And the reason why the country, or rather the government, need to be very highly guarded. But I also prefer that the things you don't just do. There are things let's wash our dirty linen inside here. But when it comes to the ICC issue, we must approach it in a very sober manner. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my take. I want to read your reasons why you think UDA are so quiet about the ICC, and is it true that probably they have really been silenced by the ICC move?